Hi everybody, welcome back to Bentley House. Today we're back working in the captain's quarters, so of course we're going to be painting things brown. Because that's what we've been doing this entire time. Although somehow it looks like I am out of brown paint, except for that little bit there. This has never happened in the history of Bentley House Minis. I have never been out of brown paint. So until I get to the store, I guess we're going to have to change course here and maybe do something with a little bit more color. I'm going to be working back here in the corner on the captain's bed, and I looked up a lot of different references for 17th century beds and also for ship captain's beds, and what I found were a lot of really colorful reds and yellows, and so I pulled out some reds, yellows, blacks to start creating the bed. I'm going to be making a kind of fake-ish type mattress here. So I'm going to be taking some foam board and just layering it, making sure that it's the same size as the area that I'm going to put the bed in. I'm just going to slice off the corners so it's a little bit rounded like a mattress would be, and then I'm going to be covering it in some quilt batting. If you do want to see a more realistic mattress, I do have a mattress tutorial that comes with a bed frame that shows you how to make everything, so you can go check that out if you're looking for a more realistic look. However, for this one, I'm just trying to make it look like a lumpy bed, so I'm not putting that much detail into the mattress itself. It's all going to get covered up by fabric. To cover the mattress, I first started by gluing it down onto some quilt batting, and then I'm adding glue along the outside, and I'm going to glue long strips of that same quilt batting all the way around the foam board. Once that's done, I can clip off any excess, and then also I'm going to clip off any excess that is hanging off down below, because I want this mattress to sit flat on top of the space that I have allocated for it inside the captain's quarters. This will make a pretty snug fit, but it works because this is basically inside of a ship. The bed would have been built in to some kind of side cabinet type thing, I think, from what I've found. Now I do want to make this a little bit of a lumpy bed, just because that's kind of what I want to go for. I'm not quite sure. I haven't done a ton of research into 17th century mattresses, but I do want to just give this a more lumpy feel. So I'm taking bits of the same quilt batting and I'm going to glue it here and there so that it's not as much of a smooth surface. This may look kind of weird now, but really it's hardly noticeable once the fabric goes on there. So if you don't care for a lumpy bed, just skip this step, but I wanted to show you if you did see lumps, this is why. I'm going back and I'm just clipping off some of the hard straight edges so that it does have a little bit more of a lumpy rounded look. Once that's done, I can select my fabric, and I'm going to take the first fabric and just go ahead and cover the entire mattress. Now, to make sure the fabric goes around all the lumps and gets pressed down into the valleys, I'm going to add glue on all the sides around the lumps that I created. I'm going to put the fabric on top of it and just press it down onto the mattress. This is also a good way to get lumps in chairs. If you're upholstering anything and you want it to look lumpy or cushiony in certain areas, you can just add quilt batting in those areas. Now I'm adding glue to the side, and I'm just going to gently fold the fabric over the side of the foam board mattress, and basically I'm wrapping it like you would a present. You just slowly wrap around the corners, and once I got to the corners I just kind of pulled them tight, and it's okay if they look a little bunched up, because if there was like a, I don't know how they put covers on mattresses back then, but it does kind of give a look of a mattress cover. Now I'm going to be creating a little bed skirt that's going on the side of the bed. To start by doing this, I'm going to be using my clover iron, and I'll put a link for that below if you're interested in working with fabric in miniature. It's a really helpful tool, but it does get very, very hot. So make sure if you are using this tool, you are very careful. I'm going to be using it to create a hem along the bottom sides of the fabric. Once I get the mattress into place, I'm going to make a little mark where that column is that kind of cuts it off 3/4 from the top, because the only place I'm going to have the bedding show is in that opening, because everything else is going to be cut off because it is built into the side of the captain quarters. So you will see that in a second. This is the only spot on the mattress I really need to add a skirt, because that's the only place that you will see it. I'm just going to carefully glue that down, and as I do, I'm bunching it up to create a kind of pleated, a loose pleated look. Now, one of the things I liked from the pictures that I was looking at is it looked like there were multiple layers on each bed made from different types of fabric, and I really liked that rich, comfy look. So I'm taking some different fabrics. This one I pulled some of the string out to give it more of like a tasseled look on one end, and I don't have to cover the entire bed with that. I'm just going to put a part of it because I am going to put another cover on top of this, and I'm going to glue it on either side and then cut off any excess. Now I'm going to be doing the top layer of the bed, and I've chosen this red with the gold leaf on it, and I've only hemmed 2 sides because you will only see 2 sides of this fabric. The other parts will be cut off, and I'm going to pull it down even further because I want each layer that I add to be seen. Now I'm going to be creating some tassels for the edge of this fabric. In the example I just showed you, I really liked the black tassels on the red fabric, and I wanted to try and recreate that. So to do this, all I'm doing is taking some black fabric and I'm pulling out some of the vertical strings, and that's creating a black tasseled effect with the strings that are basically left behind. And so you would call this frayed, but it really does give it kind of a tassel look in miniature. I'm going to do that for the side that hangs down, and then also the side that's going to go over the top of the bed. So basically I want it to look like a big blanket that has tassels all the way around, but I don't have to bother putting tassels on the other sides because you will not see them. Once it's done, I can just cut off the excess, and I will be using this more during this tutorial, and I think more just in general. I really like the effect this gives. So now I'm going to place it onto the bed, and I'm trying to stagger the length of the blankets as they come down the side of the bed. So I'm just trying to place it, and it's actually sitting on top of a box right now so that it's up, because it's easier to work on it when it's outside of the captain's quarters. But once I like how it's flowing on the side of the bed, I'm going to glue it into place and then start gluing down the sides of the blanket. When you're working with fabric in miniature, oftentimes it can stick up and it doesn't look very real, because in real life fabric has a lot of weight to it, but in miniature it doesn't, so it likes to stick up. Therefore, it's really helpful for you to glue down the sides, and then it looks like gravity is affecting your fabric like it should be. Now I can test it in place and make sure that it looks correct. I'm not the happiest with the blanket on top. I think there probably will be a few more things on the bed. I think the pattern's just a little bit too big and it's a little bit too perfect. So I think I might pull it down a little bit, because after all he's a busy captain, so he may not have time to make his bed perfectly, although probably he's not making his bed. I don't really know how that goes. Do the other shipmates make his bed for him? I don't know. Maybe there's like a cabin person who comes in. Y'all have to let me know if you know anything about how 17th century ships run. Now I'm going to make some big pillows out of the same fabric that I made the bedding. The way I'm going to do this is take 2 pieces of fabric and I'm going to glue 3 sides of the fabric together. Because this is upholstery fabric that I'm using, it's very thick and it's very fluffy, I guess I should say, and so I'm not bothering with doing the technique of turning the fabric inside out. All I'm doing is just gluing the edges together, and then I'm going to stuff it using one side that is still left open. Once I get all the cotton in there, and this is just a cotton ball, and I went ahead and unwound it, and then I'm just going to put part of the cotton ball inside of the pillow. If I just stuff the cotton ball straight in there, it kind of has like a lumpy look to it because the cotton balls retain their shape. So if you pull it apart into little pieces, it makes a more smoother stuffing for your pillow. I'm using a little pokey tool to get the cotton in there, and then I'm just adding some glue to the open side, and I'm just going to glue it shut. And then I have kind of a rough, puffy looking pillow. This one's going to go in the back, but I really liked that it held some of that, or it was made from some of that fabric that I already used on the bed. And I think it looks really comfy. I'm going to make pillows out of the other fabrics as well, but because they're thinner fabrics, I do have to do the technique where I put the wrong or the right sides of the fabric together, so it has the wrong sides of the fabric out. I'm going to again glue 3 sides of this pillow closed, and then I'm going to flip it inside out, and this will make it so that you don't see the seams. So what I'm going to do is open the one side that I left unglued, and then I'm going to put pliers inside. This is the easiest way I've found to flip miniature fabric, and then I'm going to pull it and then flip the fabric slowly so that the seams don't come undone. And you might have noticed that I've used the iron on all of the seams. The iron helps set the glue really quickly, so I do not have to wait for the glue to dry before I can continue working. Now I'm flipping the edges of the open side into the pillow, adding glue, and then ironing them closed. I'm going to do the same thing for a couple more pillows, and in the end I have 5 pillows, and then I used one with a little bit of fringe on it, and I think these will be a really good way to make the captain's bed look really luxurious and full and comfortable. Now I will eventually glue these into place, but at the moment, because I don't have the windows done, I don't want to have anything in my way while I'm working on the windows, so everything is still removable as far as this project goes. I just really wanted to work on the bed, so keeping it removable will be helpful. My kids were playing around my desk here, but this is how it is starting to look, and I really like it. It did get a little bit more difficult to get into the space once I started adding fabric because it added thickness, but it still works. Now I need to work on some tapestries that are going to hang above the space. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure that opening and cut a piece of mat board that is the same length. Now I'm going to start adding some of this fabric that matches the bedding, and it is going to create kind of a valance, or I want to give it a look of curtains that could be pulled down and close off the space from the rest of the cabin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start hemming this fabric just like I did for the bed skirt. I'm going to hem one end of it, and then I'm going to add the tassels just like I did for the top of the bed, and then I'm going to start ironing it into an accordion shape. Putting it into an accordion shape is going to make it easier for me to drape it along the mat board, and it's also going to give it the look as if it's a lot of fabric that has been pulled up and could possibly be pulled down for the captain to close off his sleeping area. So I'm using that same clover iron to iron each of the folds, and it comes out something like this. Now this is a little bit tricky. What I end up doing is gluing the center of the fabric to the mat board first, because I do know I want it to kind of come up in the middle. And then I'm going to work with the sides once that glue is dry. That way my fabric isn't just continually popping off the mat board while I am trying to manipulate it. Then I'm going to pull it up to one side, and whenever I have pieces that I am happy with where they're sitting, I'm going to take that iron and just hit the iron on top of the glue, wherever I add the glue, and then it will set that piece of fabric into place, and it will not move after that. So I have one side going up, and I thought maybe I might do the other side going up, which would make sense. It would look more like a window valance, but I ended up leaving it where it's hanging down because that way I can have it look like it was kind of anyway, in a messy way, it was put back up. So maybe he got out of bed hastily or just doesn't care about returning the curtain. I just think it gives the miniature a little bit more character than everything being perfect. Finally, I covered the piece of mat board with some black, and it will go behind this little piece of paneling, and it will look like a curtain that's kind of keeping this area cut off from the rest of the captain's quarters. I also made a second piece in a very similar way. Because you will see the top of this piece, I went ahead and added some tassels as well. This is going to go on the right side of the piece I just created in this center area. I realized that this is going to be an open space, and it will be where the captain's head is, so of course he's going to want to be able to cut off this area as well. I need to go in and add a cover to this open area that's going to be like the window seats. But so far I like how the bedding area is coming out. I need to add some windows. So much more that needs to go into this, but at the moment I'm really happy with how the bed is turning out. And of course, like I said, everything's removable, so I can continue to work on it. Now I want to say thank you to all of you who have already sent books for the captain. I'm going to use this space here to show off your books and show off things that have been sent. If you want to find out more information on how to send a book for the captain, you can go to the video I will put in the iCard right now. If you have sent one recently, it may not be in this video because it may still be in my P.O. box, and those books will be showcased in the next Captain's Quarters video. The first book I want to show you is by Chris F. I'm just going to give initials to kind of keep some of their privacy in case they don't want their name on there. But she made this beautiful book, and it says Virginia Colony on the front, and it has some really cool details on the spine and like a little red bookmark down the middle. This next one is by Darlene H, and she is from Texas, so on the spine she has a TX and her initials, which I think is really cool, and I love the green color. Green is one of my favorite colors, and I think she did a really cool job on the cover and the inside, which is hard to open with your fingers, with just one hand, by the way. The next book is by Shelley H, and she sent this Washington State book. I think it's really cool that all these have something to do with their home area, their home state, and I said I wanted books from all around, so that's what we have. And I like that she made the front and back cover really colorful. She also sent me these tiny little flocked mice. They are so cute, and definitely every ship needs some mice. I will put her Etsy shop on screen so you can check them out if you'd like to. The next two books are from Maite Yu from Chile. You'll have to let me know if I said your name correctly. This first book is super beautiful. It says El Océano Pacífico, and it has a lot of gold detailing on it, and I just think it's really pretty. And the next one is another book. It's a little bit thinner, and it has a map on the front, and it says Chile una loca geográfica. So I tried my best on the pronunciation there. You'll have to let me know in the comments if I got even close. The next book is by Nina B from Sweden, and she made a Viking book, and it has Viking runes on both the front and the back, and she sent me this entire paper that explains everything. So cool. Everything is aged, and it has this gold embellishment on the spine, which is really beautiful. You can find her at Moki Mini on Instagram, and she also sent me this engraved golden plate, which is really cool. The next book is by Darnell E. He made this really cool faux leather finish, and the spine says Alec Bradley on it, and I just really like the effect of it, and it has individual pages inside, which is really neat. This book is by Cassie R. from Tennessee. This book has a lot of really fine detailing. It has some beautiful gold embellishments along the spine. It has gold along the corners of the front of the book, and I'm not quite sure how she got the texture she did on the cover, but it's just really beautiful miniature. This book was sent by Jenny H., and she wrote on the spine of the book Schwäbisch und. Tried really hard on that one. It's from where she was stationed in Germany, so that's really cool to know. And she made this really aged looking cover, and the pages are really cool inside there as well. This next book is from A. Johnson from Sweden, or maybe it's Janssen, and she made this really cool book. It has more of like a scientific feel. The page on the inside, all the pages open, and the side of it says Stjärnhimlen, and it means star skies. And special thank you to Jasmine for sending me the decorative paper along with your book. This blue book was created by Haley L. from Pennsylvania, and this is her first book ever, if you can believe it. She knocked it out of the park. It's beautiful. On the side it says World in gold, and it has gold embellishments all along the edges of the book. This final book here was sent to me by Susan B. from Nova Scotia, and she already told me she knows that it's too big for the captain's shelves, but I thought it was really cool. She said she made it specifically for me, not for the captain, but for me. It has these straps that can come undone, and she's aged all the paper inside, and she's written inspirational quotes for me, and it was just a really thoughtful gift. There are a few other thanks I want to add here for non-books. Carol K. sent me this lovely barrel of alcohol for the captain, and a few other items you will see coming up. Also, this adorable little ship and a few other things were sent to me from Rebecca H., and she has a Facebook page called High Street Heritage where she shares her miniatures. Next up, Kim C. sent me some building materials, which was really thoughtful, and eventually these wooden fans will turn into the spiral staircase for the captain's quarters. And finally, Stephanie P. sent me these really cute binoculars and a few other things that will hang in the cabin eventually, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for blessing me with your miniatures. I cannot tell you how excited this makes me for this project. Already the bookshelf is looking way more diverse than it ever would have if I was making all the books, and they're from literally all around the world, and that is just so exciting. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. And there's still time to participate if you want to add a book, so don't worry about that. It will be going until the bookshelves are filled. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!